Ground Zero is based on real life
Yes.
event and real life people.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, we haven't seen you as an actor doing these kind of real life stories
Not
a
done too
lot.
many of those. No, no.
Okay.
That's always the icing on the cake when you're getting a film which is, it has all the elements of drama, and
Yes.
then it's also based in a certain truth and honesty of a story that's taken place. Yeah.
Okay. Then when you have these real life characters, of course you said the drama element also has to be added in sense because you need to make it a little more cinematically
Yeah, palatable for the
palatable
audience.
for the
Yeah.
audience. Then how do you ensure I mean even as an actor that the drama quotient doesn't go a little overboard, especially given
Yeah.
the fact that the movie also has this undertone of patriotism.
Yeah, yeah.
So you don't go into that zone of jingoism and
Yeah, the whole idea from my first discussions of getting into a film like this was not to go overboard with the jingoistic angle. I think that looks a little forced, over the top. The audience, while watching the film, also feels a sense of being disconnected from the truth of the story. And we wanted to tell the story with the right elements of drama, entertainment, and that truth and honesty, keeping in mind what happened back there in 2001. So yeah, that's a good question, because drama is something that if you kind of overdo it, it can just tip over. But the conversations with Tejas, with the entire team, and him with the other actors also, were that to keep it at that particular pitch, and then we would kind of vary it if we felt that okay, it's going a little overboard. I'll give you an example. That scene where he says "Prahar hoga," I can bet my life that Mr. Dubey didn't get up on a truck and starts yelling at his junior saying
Exactly.
"Prahar hoga." But I mean, that conversation would have been taking, a protocol would take place in an office or somewhere else. That would be the most boring thing, because if you have to heighten up the drama, you got to whip it up to that much. But if that went into the jingoistic, a little over the top, tonality, I think that would look very fake. So it had to be the right bit of looking and feeling, a certain convincing angle, and pitch that to the audience.
True. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Imran, correct me if I'm wrong, you're playing this real life person, Narendranath Dubey. And Tiger was one movie where you played a real life, I'm not talking about Tiger 3, but Tiger, the movie that you did.
Yes. Yeah. That was based on a true incident.
True incident.
Yeah.
So, as an actor, do you feel, that you get that much, space to rely on little nuances, to play a person, or do you feel that, no, even if it's that aspect is not real, I mean, even if the person is not real, I can still play the character?
Well, I'll tell you, as far as a film like this, which is based on Mr. Dubey's life,
Yes.
of course, most of the work has been done in a certain screenplay format. So you would be true to that. But it's very important to distill a certain soul of the person and his personality into that. And not going overboard where it suddenly starts looking like an act of mimicry. So I had those few very important meetings and conversations with him. What I gathered from the man was extremely humble, articulate, has a certain charisma about him, a certain silent charm. And like most officers and jawans, when you talk to them, I think we as citizens see that as a huge sacrifice, which it is. But for them, they're so humble about it, because like, this is just another day on the job for us, and we're doing this for our country.
Yes.
Distilling that feeling of patriotism into that character, I think is very important. The truth comes out even if it's a film that's not connected to a true story. I think you still have to, through your imagination, create a certain character. But at least in a true story, you get the framework. You get a framework of the life journey. And of course, you have to do a bit of research before you get on the set. It may be the BSF, their decorum protocols followed by the BSF, because you're making a film that's representative of of the world of BSF. You can't go wrong on that. So everything has to be kind of, you got to get it down to the T. And of course, the man himself, that this is up there for posterity. Their families are going to be watching this. They are going to be watching this. You'll be very cognizant of that, very sensitive to that, and put it up with doing all the research and knowing exactly, okay, this is 500%, this is what I'm going to do in the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, the fact with Ground Zero is that you do get into that whole space of wearing a uniform.
Yeah.
And you had said at the press conference that it was your dream to
Yes.
to play these kind of characters. But Imran, were you never offered a role where you would be in uniform? Did you never come close to it?
I've an army officer, a BSF officer. No, I have got offers, but I think I was waiting out for the right script.
Okay.
I think the ones that were offered to me were a little more in the fictional space.
Okay.
I would say. I think I kind of drew close to this one because of the true event and me being so fascinated by something that I knew a little bit about, like most of the people in the audience. Everyone knows about, or probably some people might not know after a certain generation.
Yes.
But 2003, when Ghazi Baba, the encounter happened, I didn't know how it was planned by the BSF. So when I was taken through the entire beats of the story, I was fascinated, and I found it like I said at the press conference, it's like it's more filmy than a film.
Yeah.
A lot of things in the story. So I found that fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You shot for this movie in Kashmir. Given the perception that people have of the region, of Kashmir, did that thing also? Were you also having similar kind of notions, like probably how Kashmir is, kind of like people see it's not a little safe, but then what kind of experience you had over there?
It was my first experience in Srinagar.
Yes,
I had never been there for a holiday or a shoot. I think it's a region that, unfortunately, of course, like we know, it's one of the most volatile places, and because of the political, historical, and geographical tensions there, it is one of the most complex and unpredictable areas. But our time there, I think, because of, I guess the people also there, we for the entire stint of the shoot, we didn't face any issues.
Okay.
We have shot in crowded places, markets, streets, and people were very, very civil and nice to us. I think they were very supportive. We had the support system of all the security agencies there also. They were very, very kind and supportive. So I think that also helped. But yeah, it's a place which, unfortunately, there is a history there. And my first day is like, wow, this place is beautiful, it's paradise. And that's what everyone feels when they step into Srinagar. But there is something so unhinged about it, because every street, every passage over there has army trucks, BSF, JK Police, CRPF. That's unfortunate, but it is the history and the volatility of the place. But from my conversations with these officers, it's become much better than what it was. Like, for example, our film, 2000 to 2003, when Jaish-e-Mohammed was formed, they were causing havoc in Srinagar. 70 Jawans were killed in open, in markets, streets. They were shot in the back. The Parliament attack happened 2001, planned by Ghazi Baba. Never before in the history of the world was a terrorist organization that was known to plan an attack on a parliament. That happened in our country, under the watch of course, Ghazi Baba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. So it was pretty bad at that point.
Ground Zero is releasing in theatres, and today what we see is movies of even many of the top stars. They're not getting those kind of good response. They're getting the mixed or poor response. Is that a factor? Is that a factor of worry or a concern?
No, of course it is. I mean, there's no mystery about it. That is an industry that is going through a certain phase where we need to recalibrate, rethink the kind of films that we're making. Make films that are a little more rooted and bring in that whole pan-India feeling ethos for the audiences to come in. You can't have a certain elite texture to the film, because a lot of those concept films and Western sensibilities are there on OTT.
Right.
So to get the numbers in, it's very important to kind of do a complete overhaul of the kind of films that we're making. But it is a sign of worry, and I think we will at some point recalibrate. We're still in the process. We're still way off, I feel, from it. It's a part of the industry that's still stuck in probably a denial. I know that as an actor, and people keep asking me, why aren't you doing so many films like you used to pre-2019? You have to sit in story narrations and listen to the stuff that's out there. And I'm not being disrespectful to anyone. It's just that people haven't recalibrated to what was the single screen era, out of a lack of a better term for it. And then the plexus came in. People started fueling a certain Western sensibility. And when you look for that single screen film, either it's the normal South mass film, which is done to death, we're not finding a middle ground in our own voice for Pan India. So that's what I'm facing a problem with. So when I find a film that's rooted, like Ground Zero, I pick it up.
Okay. So in such a scenario, when movies are not working, as you said, the industry, is still trying to figure out about that. Do you probably, make those choices, very consciously and carefully that, given that the scenario is still such?
As in consciously to the kind of films that I'm doing?
Yeah.
Of course,
you will be doing.
Yeah, of course, that's why. That's why I become extremely picky and choosy about it. Because it is, for one thing, it's disastrous to have a film that, doesn't connect at all on any level. I mean, yes, you have films that are successful that fail at the box office, but at least the intent should be a film that reaches far and wide.
True.
So it's important to kind of get that right. So that's what I have in mind when I'm hearing a script or when I zero down on a film.
Okay. Emraan, you are clearly an actor, back, in the early 2000s, your movies were running in single screens, your movies were running even in plexus. Tell me, what's the misconception that you believe the industry still has about you as an actor?
I don't know, you could ask them.
You don't sense anything?
Things that are said behind your back, and that's, I guess, they'll never say that in your face.
Okay.
But I don't think there is any... I think there was an image that was played up to. I think, I'm not saying from the industry's point of view, it was probably the audience.
Okay.
Just getting stuck with a certain, and this is way back to the beginning of my career.
Yes.
Certain imaging, and breaking out of that was a tall order and was very, very tough. But that was the misconception that, okay, probably this is working, this is profitable, let's juice this out and make him do just this. I think what's happened right now is because of OTT and just a lot of new filmmakers coming, there are different kinds of at least variations of subjects and characters that you get to play.
So then in that case, when you choose movies like, say, Tiger 3, or you choose something with the OTT show that you did, do these things have an impact on your career? Or maybe...
Impact, as in it is a positive impact. I don't see it in any other way. Now, people ask me why. Sometimes people I get on social media, why aren't you doing a particular kind of film? I think it's my job as an actor. When I like a space of a film, I do it irrespective if sometimes I'm the protagonist or not. I mean, I would say that time I had back-to-back 5 box office hits, and I still did Dirty Picture. That was not the protagonist, but I did it because I loved the film. In my beginning of my career, I did a film called Footpath, which was like the supporting this. When I was giving an option of doing the lead, this is ridiculous. It's like, you would say counterproductive. I found some spark in that character. So I don't know. I don't know if I like to take the risks. I do things I like. I like doing things that make an impact in those 2-3 hours film. So I think that's always been my this. And Tiger I did because, of course, I love the character. It was not a typical kind of a antagonist. There was a backstory. Would I do it now that I've done that? I will not pick up too many of those kind of films. But there was a phase where I felt, okay, that's something that, because it was a brand of Tiger and it was a certain film that would get a certain number of eyeballs. It was important to do that. OTT used to be a cuss word probably 7 years ago because no one knew any better. And right now, I think the best writing is happening on OTT. The worst is happening for theatres. So why not? And a lot of actors are jumping on the bandwagon of OTT, right? I think the people who diss out OTT and the actors who say that, oh, it's only about theatrical, they know you need acting chops for OTT. So they're actually hiding under the garb that they can't offer their acting credentials because they don't have that. They can only play a unidimensional star on the big screen. And I get that, but then why diss out OTT? It's a great format, it's some great writing, and some really good talent there. So I don't see the problem.
That's so true. Emraan, where do you see yourself as an actor, given the fact that, today, things are so scattered. Everyone wants to make themselves, so relevant and do stuff, which connects with audiences across all age groups, A and B. You're also doing many projects now, so it's a good sign that, you said there was an era where you would do a lot of movies, and probably, we'll see that happening again. And anything that you could also talk about the collaboration with Vishesh Films again on Aawarapan too.
Yeah, that's again a film that we didn't want to rush into.
Okay.
It's been in the talks for quite some time. and we just didn't want to make a sequel for the sake of it. We had to zero in on a subject, on a space that would be right to take the movie forward. It's a film with a massive cult following. It's a huge following. It's got a following which is way more than huge box office successes of mine. And
Like?
it's like, it's the kind of goodwill that it's got through satellite, I guess torrents back in the day, YouTube, it's phenomenal. So we just want the right time when we have the right script, and now is the right time. It's releasing in next year in April.
Okay.
So we start shooting in the next 2 months.
Okay. I mean, reuniting with family again.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see it as a reuniting at all. It's not like we parted ways. It's just that when we had this illustrious partnership, successes for almost 14 years, starting off from 2003, all the way back to the last release was 2017, it was Raaz 4. It's almost a 90-95% success rate. And it's just that when you do so many films together, it becomes a little tricky. How do you keep it new?
Yeah.
Because you've been there, done that, you've done pretty much everything.
True.
So in no point just getting out films and just start becoming debacles at the box office, because the audience is like, okay, we've already seen this before. So it was important to kind of zero in on a script. So we took some time with that. And of course, COVID happened.
Yeah.
2 years went in that. So a lot of recalibration happened for that.
Okay. And about the previous question, in sense, how do you keep yourself, because everyone is trying to, find that balance of making themselves relevant, across all age groups. What, I mean, as an actor, do you keep those considerations, and how differently are you probably doing as an actor? Or you want to do as an actor?
Yeah, well, relevance is something I think it's important when you cross a certain age, and when the new breed of actors and filmmakers come in. It's very important to kind of learn from them. I think that's what relevance is all about. When you tune into their minds and you do fresh and reinvent yourself and do your fresh take on characters and genres and films, and not live in the past. That's where the whole game of relevance. I don't think of it as relevance. It's for me, it's a very simple idea. It's a concept. It's working with younger minds. It's not being stuck with the same ideas that I had 10 years back. Shaking things up and seeing how the terrain is new. And that's what OTT is. Like when I did Bard of Blood in 2017, 2018. That was a change. Yeah. If I was just being regressive and was like, I'm going to keep doing what, then that's counterproductive to relevance.
True. I hope you keep doing much more exciting work on different